Hey guys, in today's video I'll be once again talking about Tropical Depression 11, which is currently at 35 miles per hour, pressure's at 1,007 millibars, and it is moving directly west at 14 miles per hour. Now, the current forecast cone from the National Hurricane Center starts to take it towards the northwest, um, going more towards early tomorrow, starting tomorrow morning, really. It will definitely be starting to head more towards the north and west, and then it will continue to do so, getting closer towards the northern Windward Islands and Puerto Rico, and then it may start to continue to head more towards the northwest and get closer towards the U.S. That's still a question mark, but it looks, honestly, I got to say, more likely than not. I really don't think this will go out to sea, and the dry air has actually become a lot less around the system, so the dry air won't be too much of a factor for kind of disrupting the system that much now, from what it looks like. But the main thing it will have to battle off is the strong wind shear that it will be encountering, getting towards Friday and Saturday. But otherwise, I think when it goes through the wind shear, it will still have its act together, because it is forecast to become a tropical storm, by the way, by at some point later today. I'm going to say around either the 2 to 5 p.m. advisory, somewhere in that window, it'll officially become Tropical Storm Josephine. And it is forecast to become a strong tropical storm, a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm. I think that will be just enough to let it sustain itself going through the wind shear, and I think will sustain itself. And once it exits with that strong wind shear, we'll have a much better time, much easier time developing and keeping its act together. And I do think it will it will head more towards the west, closer to the U.S. So people on the southeast and the Bahamas, I think you really need to watch this one. Now, let's go to Tropical Tidbits, and I'll show you what it looks like currently. Let's see if this will load. I apologize if this isn't if this is a little slow to load, but from what we can see, it is kind of going in and out with blowing up in convection. It's definitely a tropical depression, but it looks like it is generally sustaining itself with high amounts of convection all around the system. So it weakens a little bit, but then starts to blow up with convection right afterwards. So it is definitely sustaining itself, and definitely is most likely going to become a weak tropical storm some point later today, most likely getting towards later this afternoon into this evening. This is a really good sign of that it is strengthening, and it will continue to strengthen. Now, the forecast models, all of them do generally think it will turn out to sea. I disagree. I think it will continue to the west towards the U.S. And then here's the intensity model guidance. They pretty much all of the models have it strengthening into a tropical storm. We'll most likely see a moderate to strong tropical storm, and we'll see. We'll see after 72 to 84 hours from now what'll happen, because at that point it'll be really battling with the wind shear, and we'll have to see what it will do while it's battling the wind shear. It does look like it may weaken a bit going through the wind shear, but it looks like most of the models do think it will still sustain itself as a tropical storm, and then once it exits the wind shear after about 120 hours, it will start to maybe strengthen a bit more again. So again, that's concerning, especially if it will start heading to the west. You can see the hurricane models, half of them take it to continuing it towards the west, towards the U.S., and then about the other half curves it directly north out to sea. I think, and actually this model is very odd. Actually, is this model? I'm not sure what model this is, but it has it kind of doing a loop and then maybe heading to the west. That'd be interesting, but I think it will actually, especially if it gets towards a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm and becomes stronger, it will curve more towards the south, and then move farther to the west towards the U.S. and be much closer towards the islands in Puerto Rico, but still offshore of those areas. Now, I'll show you what the forecast models are generally thinking, but take this with, don't really trust these models right now. They don't really have a good handle on it. I'll show you the Western Atlantic. There you can see the GFS shows the system, and then the GFS shows it weakening and just dying out completely after it starts to head closer towards the northern Windward Islands and Puerto Rico. But I do think it will sustain itself. I think it will, as it gets closer towards the Windward Islands of Puerto Rico, it will sustain itself and will still be a tropical storm. Now, the CMC also, you can see there it is. It's not really showing it much of anything at all. But, and then you can see it just generally, it generally curves it out to sea and then kind of does a loop in a way and kind of re-strengthens a bit, but it's most likely going to continue to the west towards the U.S. At some degree. The European model as well isn't really showing the system. It's showing it have good convection with it, good vorticity with it, as it heads towards the Windward Islands and Puerto Rico, but then it dies out. But I think it will sustain itself moving forward past the Windward Islands and Puerto Rico, getting closer to the U.S. So really don't trust the models right now. They don't have a good handle on the system at all. Really just go based off of kind of what the high pressure is doing and kind of what you think it'll do going through the wind shear. We'll really have to wait till Friday, Saturday to really look at the models and really try to trust them by that point. At this point, they really don't have a clue at all. With what it'll do after Friday, after 2 days from now. The ocean analysis, you can see the Enzo region is now entering a La Nina, the La Nina, so La Nina is starting to take effect, but I think it'll still be a few weeks before we're in an official La Nina. I think by the time we get into early to mid-September, we'll be in an official La Nina, so watch out for that because that will really boost activity, because September is really around the peak time, the peak activity, the true peak activity for the hurricane season. And with that La Nina, it'll just boost that activity even more. Even as we head towards the official end of the hurricane season, the activity most likely will still be a bit more active than it would typically be. Now let's go to the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season page on Wikipedia. We have a total of 11 tropical depressions, 9 total storms, 2 hurricanes, total of 45 deaths, and now a total damage for the hurricane season is somewhere around $6 billion. So, and that's all due to Isaias, which caused around $4.2 billion alone. So that was a truly crazy storm, which a lot of us remember. So that's going to be really nuts. So Tropical Depression 11, again, it most likely will become Josephine pretty shortly, within the next, I'd say, 4 to 5 hours from now. And then I think it will sustain being a tropical storm moving forward through the weekend, and it truly might pose a threat to the U.S. So the east coast of the United States, definitely keep your guard out for the system, and and if it really does survive the wind shear, start to try to prepare for the system by then. By this weekend, start preparing for this system, because if it does survive the wind shear, then we know it's going to be a pretty potentially vigorous system and won't really show signs of weakening, because once it exits the wind shear, that area to the north of Hispaniola and Cuba and between the Bahamas and Florida and that area, there's a lot less wind shear. The environment is much calmer, and so that once the system gets there, we'll have a much easier time developing. So definitely watch this system very closely for anyone living along the East Coast, especially if you live in the Southeast and the Bahamas. So again, please watch this system closely if you live in the Southeast United States, especially currently. people in the Windward Islands and Puerto Rico definitely want to watch this system very closely at this point in time. But yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.